Hello, you're watching the English News Bulletin on QPVN channel. I'm Châu Nguyễn, and now let me keep you up to date with the headlines. Vietnamese Vice President Võ Thị Ánh Xuân pays an official visit to Laos. Vietnamese and Indonesian Coast Guard forces share experience. Vietnamese National Assembly delegation visits China. At the invitation of Lao Vice President Pani Yathotu, Vice President Võ Thị Ánh Xuân paid an official visit to Laos from August the 21st to the 22nd. On August the 21st, Vice President Võ Thị Ánh Xuân met with General Secretary and President Thongloun Sisoulith and Prime Minister Son Siphandon. She briefed them on Vietnam's recent situation and reported on her substantive talks with Vice President of Laos, Pani Yathotu, during which both sides reached high consensus on measures to further strengthen the special bilateral ties. She also appreciated the Lao Party and state's recognition of the Trường Sơn Ho Chi Minh Trail in Laos as a national historical site, a testament to the deep solidarity and loyal bonds between Vietnam and Laos. General Secretary and President of Laos Thongloun Sisoulith highly appreciated the positive results of the bilateral cooperation in recent times, highlighting that many key strategic cooperation projects between the two sides have been actively implemented. He expressed sincere thanks for the great support that the party and state of Vietnam have always given to Laos. Lao Prime Minister Son Siphandon emphasized that, in the coming time, both sides should continue to closely coordinate and enhance the connectivity between the two economies, especially through infrastructure, finance, and banking linkages, while aligning policies to make economic cooperation a main pillar in the special Vietnam-Laos partnership. At the talks with Lao Vice President Pani Yathotu the same day, the two sides agreed to continue implementing signed high-level agreements, ensure the progress of major projects, and work towards raising bilateral trade to $5 billion. They also pledged to expand security and defense cooperation, intensify the fight against transnational crimes, drug trafficking, and cyber threats, cooperate in repatriating remains of Vietnamese volunteer soldiers and advisors in Laos, and preserve monuments honoring the combat alliance of the two countries. On the evening of August the 21st, the joint rehearsal for the National Parade took place at Ba Đình Square. General Phan Văn Giang, Minister of National Defense, chaired the event. For the first time rehearsing at the historic Ba Đình Square, the parade forces marched with all their pride and patriotism, and each firm step was the result of enduring training over the past month. Earlier, security assurance work was strictly applied on the surrounding streets and at the square. The military, police forces, and relevant agencies closely coordinated to ensure absolute safety for the area and guide civilians to travel in the most convenient way. A large number of people, officers, and soldiers came to watch, encourage, and cheer on the parade forces, as well as immerse themselves in the atmosphere of the unforgettable historical autumn days of the 80th anniversary of the August Revolution and National Day. Also on August the 21st, the National Steering Committee for the Search, Repatriation and Identification of Fallen Soldiers' Remains, or Steering Committee 515 for short, held a conference to review mine clearance efforts supporting the search for martyrs' remains in Tuyên Quang Province. Swing Lieutenant General Võ Minh Lương, Deputy Minister of National Defense and Deputy Head of Steering Committee 515, chaired the conference. According to statistics, Tuyên Quang Province has over 90,000 hectares contaminated with bombs and mines, with more than 9,000 hectares needing clearance to search for martyrs' remains. So far, over 13,700 hectares have been cleared. Swing Lieutenant General Võ Minh Lương called on Military Region 2 and Tuyên Quang authorities to speed up clearance and hand over land for the search and collection of martyrs' remains. Currently, 1,095 remains are yet to be found. He also emphasized honoring those who rendered great service to the nation. On this occasion, he presented gifts to the Provincial Search and Collection Team and handed over 30 gift packages from the Central Military Commission and the Ministry of National Defense to policy beneficiary families in the province. On the morning of August 21st, Senior Lieutenant General Liu Huivik, Deputy Minister of National Defense, chaired a conference on building a project to improve the capacity of the Military Technical Safety Inspection Center and on building a standard measurement quality inspection center in the 2026-2030 period, as well as to propose building a new investment project to improve the capacity of the sample testing center under the General Logistic Technical Department. Senior Lieutenant General Liu Huivik requested the agency to collect all opinions, complete the projects, carefully study the investment, equipment, human resources for the work, thereby accelerating the progress, ensuring that the centers are deployed according to plan, promoting their functions, efficiency, and long-term use, contributing to improving the quality of inspection, measurement, and testing in the military. Also on August 21st, Vietnam Coast Guard vessel CSB 8001 set sail from Ho Chi Minh City, packed with a crew led by Colonel Nguyễn Trần Đông, second in command of Coast Guard Region 3. The delegation is set to visit, exchange, and share experience with the Indonesian Coast Guard. This is the first trip of the Vietnam Coast Guard ship to Indonesia in 2025, showing the two forces' determination and goodwill to strengthen cooperation, promote traditional friendship, and build trust. More than that, it helps build a sea area of peace, security, safety, cooperation, and sustainable development. In recent years, the two Coast Guard forces have conducted joint patrols in adjacent waters, exchanged delegations, held annual bilateral meetings, and coordinated in search and rescue and maritime incident response drills. The delegation is scheduled to play courtesy calls on Indonesian authorities and Coast Guard leaders, have bilateral meetings, joint sports exchanges with Indonesian officers and sailors, and visit cultural landmarks in Jakarta. A joint maritime exercise is also included. The visit is poised to enhance the two forces' ability to handle maritime situations and unlock new avenues for practical and effective collaboration in the near future. Coming up next, Vietnamese National Assembly delegation visits China. Vietnamese Association in Republic of Korea signs health cooperation memorandum of understanding with H+ Yangji Hospital. On August 20th in Beijing, Senior Lieutenant General Trần Quang Phương, Vice Chairman of the National Assembly, Chairman of the Vietnam-China Friendship Parliamentarians Group, met with Chairman of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress of China, Zhao Leji, as part of his working visit to Beijing. At the meeting, Vice Chairman of the Vietnamese National Assembly Trần Quang Phương spoke highly of the positive development of relations between the two parties, states, and particularly the legislatures in recent years. He reaffirmed that Vietnam attaches great importance and gives top priority to advancing the ties with China. He called on the two legislatures to boost cooperation and share experience in lawmaking, oversight, anti-corruption, and governance. For his part, Mr. Zhao Leji affirmed that China attaches great importance to and prioritizes developing relations with Vietnam and stands ready to work with the country to effectively implement the high-level agreements and common perceptions already reached. He also said that the National People's Congress of China is willing to strengthen and deepen friendly exchanges and practical cooperation with the Vietnamese National Assembly, promote experience sharing among committees, friendship groups, and localities. Recently, at the Vietnamese Embassy in Seoul, with the presence of Ambassador Vũ Hồ, Councillor Nguyễn Đình Dũng, leaders of H+ Yangji hospitals, and representatives of the Vietnamese community, a ceremony was held to sign a memorandum of understanding on cooperation between the Vietnamese Association in the Republic of Korea and H+ Yangji Hospital. Chairman of the Vietnamese Association in the Republic of Korea, Đào Tuấn Hùng, affirmed that close coordination with H+ Yangji will bring practical benefits to every member of the Vietnamese community in Korea and contribute to strengthening Vietnam-Korea friendship. Ambassador Vũ Hồ praised the cooperation initiative, calling it a vivid example of community solidarity and a bridge fostering friendly and humane ties between the peoples of the two countries. The Memorandum of Understanding marks an important step in cooperation between the association and the H+ Yangji, one of Korea's leading private general hospitals, ranked among the top 100 hospitals by Newsweek for many years. Over the past few days, the 65-day program to support the Cuban people has been enthusiastically responded by Vietnamese people from all walks of life. It is a practical activity to celebrate the 65th anniversary of the Vietnam-Cuba diplomatic relations, affirming the true and strong friendship between the two peoples. QPVN reporter had an interview with Mr. Rogelio Polanco Fuentesio, Cuban ambassador to Vietnam, to learn about his feelings for this meaningful program, as well as the past 65-year journey of Vietnam-Cuba relations.
2025 marks the 65th anniversary of the establishment of the Vietnam-Cuba diplomatic ties. How do you evaluate the significance of this special relations in the current context? Cuba was the first country in Latin America and the Caribbean to establish diplomatic relations with Vietnam on December 2, 1960, marking the beginning of a close and special friendship. Despite the geographical distance, Cuba and Vietnam share principles and agree on many important actions in politics, creating a strong bond between the two parties and peoples. Cuba always admires the legacy of President Ho Chi Minh, as well as the achievements that Vietnam has made in the journey of fighting for national independence and liberation, and building socialism, along which the special friendship between the two countries was forged. We have achieved many important milestones in this long and meaningful period. Leader of the Cuban Revolution, Fidel Castro, once said, "For Vietnam, Cuba is willing to shed its own blood." His saying remains valuable to these days, as Cuba always accompanies Vietnam in the efforts to build a developed country, bring welfare to all people, and complete important goals for the future. After 65 years of establishment, the relationship between the two countries is at a good stage, with close exchanges between the party, state, government, social organizations, and people's organizations. The friendship and solidarity between the two peoples not only maintained, but also increasingly fostered. Over the past 65 years, the Vietnam-Cuba friendship has been constantly cultivated by generations of leaders and peoples of the two countries. What is the core value that helps this relationship stay strong, faithful, overcoming all geographical distances and difficulties of the time, sir? Over the past 65 years, Cuba and Vietnam have developed their societies in specific conditions, in accordance with the history and culture of each country. But we share important similarities in political situation and ideology. Both peoples value the past struggles to gain national independence, sovereignty, and freedom, and place the top priority on improving the living conditions of the people through socio-economic development, bringing greater welfare. There remains vast room for the cooperation between the two countries, especially in the fields of economics, trade, and investment. The two sides have identified many important directions, taking advantage of each country's specific strength. Vietnam has achieved outstanding achievements in agriculture, forestry, fishery. Currently, Vietnamese enterprises are implementing projects to produce rice and essential foods to meet the food needs of the Cuban people, contributing to ensuring food security. The two countries have also established a joint venture to produce biotechnology, bringing advanced Cuban products into production in Vietnam, serving public health care. In addition, many other areas of cooperation are being promoted, bringing practical benefits to both sides. Therefore, we are confident that the Vietnam-Cuba relationship will get increasingly strong, reaching higher goals for the benefit of the two peoples. Within the framework of the Vietnam-Cuba Friendship Year 2025, the program to support the Cuban people has been enthusiastically responded by the Vietnamese people. How do you assess the significance of this support to the special friendship between the two peoples? We are truly touched and delighted by the great support of the Vietnamese people, from agencies, organizations to each individual. What is valuable is that the entire Vietnamese people consider participating in this program as a duty of the heart, sending the most sincere sentiment to the Cuban people. For us, it is a great honor to witness this historic moment when Vietnamese people everywhere actively join hands to support Cuba, creating a source of encouragement for us with profound humanity
humane values, reflecting the sentiments of the entire nation. The numbers are still increasing, but beyond those is the humane values and extraordinary solidarity spirit. The Vietnamese people have touched the hearts of the Cuban people with their meaningful sharing. In hard times, when Cuba was heavily affected by the embargo, this is an invaluable source of encouragement, giving us strength. The greatest message that Vietnam has sent to Cuba over the past 60 years is the faithful friendship and unwavering solidarity that never changes. And today, when that spirit once again spreads across Vietnam, we would like to send warm hugs and our sincere gratitude to every Vietnamese for sending the message of friendship to the Cuban people in these difficult times.
And that's all for now. Remember, you can always watch the news again at QPVN.vn. Thank you for watching and hope to see you next time.